What's going on? Jordan, lightninglister.com, back with another video about investing. But first, disclaimer, investing is extremely risky. You can lose all your money. You can lose your life if you value money that much, and you lose it all and then you hang yourself. Okay? So don't invest with money you can't afford to lose mentally and financially. And borrowing money can also be very, very, very risky. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay? So if you still want to invest and you have the money you've saved up diligently, I think that's the best way to do it. We're going to do this video on a continuation of the video that I made previously about buying rental properties with cash and buying the whole place in cash instead of borrowing money. All right, let's go. Okay, so what I have here is all of the figures written down for sake of brevity, so you don't have to worry about watching me write it. We're gonna do all of the same figures that we used in the previous video, the Monte Carlo simulation video, buying cash, and I will link a link in the description for that video or pop it up on the screen. Okay, so, but from that video, we were looking at a house, $242,900, okay? In this one, we're gonna borrow though, we're not gonna use cash to buy it, and we're gonna put 20% down, get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, and have excellent credit, and this is gonna be a rental, not some kind of on-off place for us to live, and that's so the tax things are all the same. So when I make the tax video, I can compare the tax write-offs for buying cash versus renting and see if it's even negligible or good or anything comparable. Okay, so the excellent credit, I want to paint this cash or borrowing in the similar light as cash. I don't want to paint a negative image of borrowing by saying, okay, we have a low credit score, we're going to have a really high APR and all of that stuff, because I want to compare similarly and be unbiased towards one or the other. Okay, so that's how I want to set it up. So let's continue. All right, now we have a one-time chunk fee, and then we're going to have an annual percentage rate, which gives us our principal and interest, and this figure of $906.55 is going to be added to our monthly costs from the previous video because we didn't have this. Since we put down 20%, we don't have to worry about mortgage insurance or any of that stuff, PMI, and this is going to be the monthly rate. And this figure, all the lending fees, the application fee, the interim fee, which is the interest that you have to pay from the time you sign the mortgage to the first payment. Lenders normally collect that up front. Then the cost of lender origination fee, this could change, but 1% is usual. So all of that added together gives us $2,500. One-time fee, we're gonna say, and this is not closing costs of the house, like attorney, home inspection, or any of that. This is just getting the mortgage. We're gonna assume same thing, real estate agent negotiated those closing costs away, and the lending closing costs are what we have to pay, okay? So then, like I said, with a great credit score of 800 or whatever, we're gonna have an APR assuming of 3.81%. As of right now, it's almost February, but in January of 2020, the rates, you can get around 3.81% if you have great credit, okay? So with that, we're gonna have a monthly payment amortized to $906.55. Amortization just means that the payments are split up equally for the next 30 years, okay, monthly. And then so to calculate the return on investment, we want to know how much money did we put down. In the cash scenario, we put down this, okay? Again, we're not going to think that we have any other costs associated with it. We're not going to assume that we are hiring a property manager because we're going to do it ourselves, all right? So the total cost instead of $242,900 is now going to just be the down payment plus the lending one-time fees. That's gonna be $51,131, all right? And we'll use that in the ROI calculation in a second. The rents are gonna be the same. So we found 12 rental comps in the area that we were looking at for this house, and we split them up into percentiles or quartile bins, or quantiles. So that just means that equally we had a certain amount. So the 25th percentile was $1,260, $1,500 rent was the 50th percentile, and $1,675 was the 75th percentile rent. The importance for the percentile is in determining a very loose probability of getting some amount of rent at or greater a price. So 1675 out of 12, there were only 3 that were around or higher than 1675. Okay, so that gives us a 3 out of 12 comps probability of getting that. That is 25% chance of getting this, or pretty much higher than this. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. That's going to factor in when we discuss this. Now the vacancy rate, we lined up in the previous cash video all of the rates of the time of days on market of the rental properties we found in the area that were currently rented. So before they were rented, how long did they sit on the market? We found that 60 days, 75% of them sat within 60 days or less. So I felt, okay, that's really comfortable. I want to make sure, I'm trying to guess as good as possible. Like I stressed in the cash video, this is all a super guess, okay? We want to make sure we use data and try to discern if there's any kind of pattern or anything going on with the behavior. But again, it's a guess, and that's why I say this stuff is really risky. Even if we calculate some risk, like a percentage, it doesn't guarantee anything, okay? But this is how we're gonna proceed. So then with all those same figures, we calculate the 0 months of, if we have vacancy rates, 0 months, 1 month, and 2 months. 2 months would be 60 days, all right? So for the first situation, we're making that 75th percentile rent, we're going to assume, because now in the previous video, we had a monthly burden of $556, and I know I wrote it, yep, monthly burden, $556 from the previous video. That was homeowners insurance, HOA, and property taxes. I believe those 3 things. Oh, and then maintenance we added on, okay? So that's $556 a month out of our pocket, but now we've got to add on the principal and interest because we got a mortgage of $906. That brings our monthly burden to $1,400, $1,462.55. All right, $1,462.55 now limits us to the rents that we can choose. In the cash video, we were able to choose any of these and still make return on investment that was positive. 3% return on investment actually by choosing the 1260 figure. And with 1 month of, actually it was, 1 month of vacancy gave us almost 3% return on investment cash flow, okay? But this situation, now we have to crack 1462 just to make anything, and that's only if we're gonna not assume equity, but per month. If we don't wanna be paying stuff every month and we don't like that, then we need to have a rent that's at or above that. So we're stuck to the 1,500 or 1675. Now, like I said, let's paint this in a decent picture, a good picture, not a horrible one. We'll assume 1675. We'll give the benefit of the doubt, okay? So we're gonna get that per month, 1675 per month minus 1462 times 12 because no vacancy in this scenario, and divided by the $51,131 figure that we spent total, okay? That's gonna give us 4.99% return on investment that year. Now, if you look at an amortization table, you can see every single year you're going to be making equity in the property because the amount that goes to principal, the renter is going to pay, and they're going to pay down your loan in the property. So therefore, if you were to sell it and then not have tons of closing costs selling it, you would get that amount of money, but minus all whatever they owed for the loan, but you would retain that principal. So that's why they factor this in to return on investment most of the time. So with 1 year of equity, and the equity every single year is gonna be changing for the better. So this is like base case. 1 year equity, $3,536. So $3,536 plus of equity plus $2,549.40 of rental income with 0 months vacancy is going to generate 11.9% return on investment. The 2,500 so on and some change is cash flow, okay? That's money in hand. That is the guaranteed return on investment if at the end of the year this worked out this way. The equity return on investment is only guaranteed if you sell the property and if you get that price. If the property drops, that's another thing. So you got to keep that in mind. But okay, this is where it gets interesting. 1 month vacancy. When you do the numbers again, just like over here, you get 1.71% realized return on investment every month, or at the end of the year, okay? And which works out to be $874 divided by 12. So you're making less than $100 a month of cash flow. And then once you factor in the 1 year equity, then you're back up to 8.63% return on investment. But again, only if you sell the property. 2 months vacancy rate. Now you've got that burden of 2 months of rent and 2 months of monthly burden. That's 29.24, like 29.25, okay? Right here, 29.25.10. I wrote it out. Didn't have to do the math in my head. Okay, so now though, at 2 months, if you don't consider equity, you're losing 1.5%, 1.57% per year. Does that sound like something you want to do? You got to keep that in mind, because 2 months, if anything happens to the property and you have to, repair it before you get it back on the market, you're losing time and you're losing money to repair it and all that stuff. So you got to keep that in mind. But when you factor in the equity, oh, the savior, 5.35%. Okay. So in summary, to compare this versus buying with cash, why do people borrow money in general? Well, there's 2 reasons that I can think of off the top of my head. One reason is that they don't have the money and they barely have the money, and then boom, they want to get a property and start investing right away. I don't like that at all. The other way though is they want to leverage the money. So even if they have all this money, instead of using it to buy 1 property and having some reserve, they can buy 4 properties and still have a good amount of reserve. At $51,000, if they bought 4 properties at $242,000, they're able to leverage that for the 4 properties. But now the monthly burden is so high for the 4 properties that if anything goes wrong, that could easily eat through all of the money that you have saved up for reserve. And I don't like it, okay? I am not comfortable with investing that way. If you want to invest that way and something goes wrong, hey, me or someone like me will pick your property up at the foreclosure auction, so no worries. Just kidding. So don't do that though, all right? So in summary, all of this, the risks that are obvious to me are obtaining the rental price of $1,675. I mean, that was a 25% chance out of the 12 comps. So the risk of obtaining a higher rental price is higher. If the house price falls, the equity is gone, okay? If the house price falls 5%, you're looking at 10 grand gone, and that's 24,000. Yeah, so you're looking at 2 years worth of equity gone. The house can still fall in the cash offer, but you're not as affected because you're not factoring that in your ROI. So your ROI stays the same, basically, if the rent stays the same. And if the house price falls, rental prices are positively correlated with housing prices. It falls, this falls, you might be hitting negative return on investment every single month, even if you have 0 months of vacancy. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And the larger monthly burden if vacant. I already touched on that, but if you have 4 properties now, you're looking at over $5,600 a month that you have to pay once you have vacancy rates. So that is really, really big. And I personally don't feel comfortable with doing investing and approaching it that way. So the main differences that you want to consider are you willing to take on all this risk? Do you believe that this is a risk? It's probably even more riskier because, like I said, it's all a guess. There's assumptions. Your credit might be different. These fees might change. And the other difference is the ROI. The ROI is much greater if we look at 1 month vacancy versus the other 1 month vacancy in cash. we're looking at 8.63% for this way and a 3% for the other way. But again, the cash flow is less and it's unrealized return on investment until you sell the property. If you don't have the cash in hand, you don't have the investment, okay? That's what you have to know. You can speculate all you want about the money that could come in once you sell it and once you collect your equity, but you don't know for sure. But if you lock in a contract and you have that money coming in for the cash approach of this, then you are getting that 3%. You're good, okay? You're solid. All right, so that is everything I can puke out at you really quickly on investing in residential real estate, the borrowing, leveraging version, and that is why I don't like this. I'm risk averse. I have not personally borrowed money to buy residential real estate. I've bought in other types of assets, but I have miserably failed at that. And that's probably why I have the position I do and take the position I do on investing. Okay? So again, investing is very, very dangerous as far as you can lose your money and you can lose a lot of other things. You could lose your house. It depends. You need to not be a gambler. Well, this is all gambling. What did I just say? You need to approach it with a better mindset and more conservative mindset, in my opinion. All right? People who sell stuff online, they want to paint these pictures and say, oh yeah, man, use the leverage. You can make 11% per year, but they're using fantasy land numbers, all right? They're using the highest rent possible. They're using 0 months of vacancy, they're not accounting for the risk. Okay, so when you watch other people's videos and when you read articles or if you purchase their stuff online, just think to yourself, would it be more beneficial for these people who are selling me these courses on buying with cash, not just general investing courses, but if they want me to buy with money and leverage down and how you can buy money or how you can buy houses with no money, just think for a second. Are they going to be more motivated to paint a better picture even if it's total BS? Yes. Yes, they are. That is the answer. You don't even have to think I gave it to you. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Jordan Dubois, lightninglister.com. Go there for research stuff on homes. If you need a great real estate agent and you're in Arizona or Illinois, check us out. Other agents are going to be coming soon. And that's all I got for you today.